Welcome to Health Facts with Normani Ricks. I am your host, Normani Ricks. I like to start off each episode with a little known health fact. Did you know that the pressure and stress of being an elite athlete can cause health problems? You may have a stroke, heart attack, ulcers, and even a decreased immune system. Well, today I have a very, very special guest, Miss DeeDee Trotter. She is a three-time Olympic champion and NCAA champion, and she loves talking about this, and she coaches people. She's a motivational speaker, and she knows how to talk to people about how to decrease their sports anxiety and performance anxiety. So welcome to the show, Miss DeeDee.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to be on the show. Thanks for putting this together. It's a really awesome topic, and I think it's going to hopefully be able to reach some people and help them get their anxiety intact.
Okay. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. How did you first decide that you wanted to be an athlete?
It wasn't actually a decision I feel like I made. I feel like it was more so just playing into my own gifts and talents that I kind of grew up with naturally. When I was younger, the first sport I actually participated in was basketball. Okay. And I met my best friend one of my best friends playing that sport. And it was mostly about friendship and connections, but I did fall in love with basketball. Okay. That put me on a track to want to play collegiate sports, basketball at that level at age 10, I believe. Mm-hmm. And from that age, I just was dead set on going to college and playing for the University of Tennessee. And that whole mindset just became the way I thought and the way I functioned. And it became an early goal that I just would not relinquish until I achieved it. Track and field was something that was more of a unintended success for me. I was always fast. So even when I was like 5 years old, like a little kid, racing on the playground from stop sign to the mailbox,
right.
Right through the street, no shoes on, no socks, so just always a fast kid. And people would always say, man, girl, you should run. You fast. And when I got to high school, I decided that I would do track and field, and it just shined. So I thankfully had options in both basketball and track and field. And I ended up taking a scholarship to University of Tennessee for track instead of basketball, but I got there. So that's kind of how the journey began. I don't feel like I chose sports. I feel like they were part of who God wanted me to be.
Right. I feel like a lot of pressure is put on people that are tall. So you're really tall. So as far as like guys and girls, when you're walking down the street, if you're not an athlete and you're tall, everybody asks you, do you play basketball?
Right.
So
yeah.
I just feel like it's a lot of people that I guess start with stress at an early age if they grew tall and they're like, why are you wasting your talents?
Yes.
Do you have like a lot of people that are kids that talk to you about stuff like that?
That is one of the funny assumptions about being tall, that you just somehow need to be playing basketball or doing something. But I was definitely tall. I wasn't the abnormal tall, so I didn't get a lot of that. Hey, you need to play basketball or play sports because you're so tall. I did have a friend who was taller than me. That could have been the reason.
Oh, probably. She got it all.
She was very tall, like, especially to be like 11 or 12. She was like almost 6 feet tall, and people were like, you got to play basketball, So I think she absorbed some of that for me. Okay. But I do hear that a lot with the kids that I work with now. And it's not just about their height. Sometimes it's about their body types. You see a 13-year-old girl and she's built like she's 18. She's got muscles and she's defined. And you're like, man, you're an athlete. And there's like, we got to get her to do something. And she might want to do at that point is look pretty.
Exactly.
But that pressure does come, and I always tell them, hey, just do what makes you feel, what makes you happy. Like if you're not into sports, that's fine. But I also encourage them to try it. So I find that this generation, especially with the girls, they are a little bit more into vanity than they are into using their physical skills and gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a natural physical build or physical gift, like I was given as well, when I was growing up, I also had a visibly physical gift.
Mm-hmm.
But I also encourage them to tap into that because it can be the gateway to other things. So,
Right.
maybe you want to be a fashion designer, or maybe you want to be an interior designer, or maybe you want to be a real estate person or a business owner. Whatever your absolute goal is fine. But sometimes you can use your physical gift to help you get to those things that you want to do a little faster with a little less financial distress. A scholarship can definitely pave the way for some opportunities, So I always say, yeah, you don't like basketball? My goddaughter, she's the perfect example of this. She's been beyond average height for her entire life. Right now she's probably she's probably close to 5'9", but she's been that height, and she's only 15.
Oh,
And she's
wow.
been that height since she was like 12, so she's
Mm-hmm.
been quite the tall young lady. And so people are always like, oh, you gotta play basketball. And she's like, I have no interest in that. I'm a cheerleader. I like to tumble. I like, flipping and all. So I'm like, it's great, but try it, baby. Like, give it a shot. See if you're any good at it. You might not only love it, it might be another opportunity. Now you have options. Now you can maybe take that cheer scholarship if you want, or now you have an opportunity to have a basketball scholarship. You don't
Right.
want to cut yourself out the options. So I do encourage it, although I do think sometimes it's the furthest thing from what they're going for.
Right. So what about people that come from like sports families and their dad was like a professional
Expectations.
basketball player
Yeah.
or a football player? Like what about the stress and the pressure about that? Like how does that work?
Yeah. Expectations. I see that a lot, actually. And it's not always with the parent that made it in sports or participated in sports. Sometimes it's the parent that, or I should say, participated in a higher level of sports. Sometimes it's the parent that absolutely missed their opportunity that pushes the hardest. So
Right.
it's like, I missed my chance. I could have done this, and I was great when I was in this high school or whatever. And then there's a lot of pressure for them not to, on the kid, to not miss the opportunity the way they felt they did, or whatever mistake or whatever prevented them from being able to get to what they felt their potential was. That pressure is then transferred on to the child or the young athlete. And I see that more than I see the successful athlete parent pushing hard. I do see that because there's a different mentality with the kids who have parents who were former athletes, collegiate or professional, because the mindset of a professional athlete or collegiate athlete is one of determination, and a different expectation of hard work is ingrained into them. So they push hard because they know the possibilities and the limits. So they know how much harder an individual would need to work to get to the next level. And when they don't see their kid making that progress towards that level of hard work that's necessary, they push.
Right.
And sometimes the push is too early. Sometimes the push isn't early enough. I've seen it go both ways. I've seen the parent that says, hey, I don't want to push them too hard. I want them to, develop at their own speed, and then not pushing them hard enough. They're not where they need to be on time. Right. And then you have the other parent that pushes too hard. You got your 6-year-old out there lifting weights, and you're like, this is a lot.
Right.
Put the weights down. The baby don't need the weights and the protein shake. Like,
exactly.
It's a lot. And so you have that, which is too aggressive, in my opinion. So there is a balance where, and it's really just paying attention to the child. You have some kids who are, and I work with a variety of both. You have some kids who mentally already want greatness.
Right.
They're there. And then you have other kids who are still just being kids, and they have no real understanding of the requirements of hard work. They're not super self-driven. It's mostly just fun or a game for them still, or they feel forced to be participating at all. So, there's that. And when you have that and there's talent, that's where the parent starts to push. They're like, there's talent. I know they can do it. And then you say, so I know if I just push them a little bit, they'll get more serious about it. And sometimes that does work. Yeah. On the other hand, I think, for me, I would say the balance would be, just paying attention to the child, knowing how to ingrain in them the etiquette of hard work and doing it in a way where it doesn't feel like pressure or forced. Right. As soon as you start forcing things or mandating things in a way that they're not open to embracing it, it becomes rejection. Rejection just pushes them completely off the spectrum and they start to fall away. And then you have athletes from that you get athletes who are super great and they're great by talent, but then they lack complete desire in the sport and love for the sport. And they just kind of, I'm only doing this because,
right.
So that's okay. But
so we both grew up running track in Georgia together. And yes. I remember from a young age, everyone on your track team always said, DeeDee is going to the Olympics. DeeDee is going to the Olympics. I used to think it was so weird. I'm just like, why? Every time I see DeeDee, somebody's around her saying she's going to the Olympics. So,
that's funny.
Do you feel that way about yourself?
That's funny because I didn't know I was going to the Olympics. Yeah. That's very funny to me. Because I had no preconceived ideas, plans, goals, expectations of ever going to the Olympics. I was in Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta in 1996 when the Atlanta Olympics were here. And the most participation or draw to it that I had was just to go out and hang out at Centennial Park. I had no interest in sporting events, nor did WNBA. I had no interest in track and field at all. I had no interest in trying to figure it out or watch or even pay any attention to it. Track was literally not the furthest thing from my mind as far as it related to the Olympics. I just never, it was just never a thought for me because it was never exposed to me. Like I said, most exposure was when it came to Atlanta and that was it, and I think at that age we were doing some stuff in school that taught us about the Olympics, the rings and all this stuff, but I didn't absorb that in a way that made me feel any type of closeness to it. So it's.
When did the mindset?
Glad to hear that though.
When did the mindset change? When did it click for you?
Track and field clicked for me, and the Olympics and all of the next level stuff clicked for me as it was happening. So it was 2002. I had finished my freshman year at Tennessee. I had made it to NCAAs. I had no idea what any of that stuff meant. Like when I tell you I was the most ignorant track person on the planet, it's so funny that people would say those type of things about me because I was just literally like walking in the dark when it came to track and field. And when my freshman year was over at Tennessee, I went home and started training for basketball because I had a basketball tryout with Pat Summitt in the university, and I was not even thinking about track. I was gone. I was like, this is what I wanted to do. I used track to get here. I'm taking my chances. This is what I got, wasn't even thinking about the sport in a long-term capacity. And I went home, I started training for basketball, and make a long story short, the coach that recruited me that year, she kind of made a deal with me. And the deal was that she would give me a full scholarship in track and field and allow me to try for the basketball team. And that was our negotiated deal. So she was like, people don't normally do this. But because I know this is why you would come, I'll make you this deal. You run for me freshman year and I'll give you a chance to try out. You make it, you can go. If you don't, you can always stay with me. I said, deal, bet. I don't have money for Tennessee. This is great. Let's go. So I took the deal and she got fired. So my freshman year, when she got let go, and officially she resigned.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came that summer, the new coaches came in and they basically were like, "Hey, where are you at, track? We're getting ready to start training. You're not here." I was like, "I have a basketball trial." They were like, "What?" Come in. We got to talk about this.
That deal was gone.
Yeah, the deal was gone. Pretty much, the deal was off the table,
Okay.
and I was left with somewhat of an ultimatum. It was, you can, if you go to the tryout, we'll take your scholarship.
Wow.
And I was kind of a little bit shocked because I'm like, I haven't even made the team. This is my dream since I was 10 years old. Like I did everything that I did to get here was to have this moment. And without even knowing me, you guys are taking it off the table and giving me a choice whether I even can go to school here now. Mm-hmm. So long story short, I had to make a decision whether I would stay at Tennessee, period, because I couldn't afford tuition there, or, run track or trial for the team. Mm-hmm. So I chose to stay with track and field to keep my scholarship and maintain my collegiate, my academic career as a collegiate athlete. And a lot of resentment built up around track and field. I honestly,
wow.
I saw no future there. It was just a means to it was just a stepping stone to where I wanted to be. And then I got stuck. Right. And so for my sophomore year, I was quite the angry young lady. I had a lot of back and forth with the coaches. I'm typically a very respectful young lady. I kind of went off the grid, but I continued to run, and fueled by what I think was just anger. We'll call it that.
Call it what it is.
Yeah, I fueled by anger. I just ran my little socks off, and I made the world championship team that year. I was out of anger. Champion. I'm telling you, just straight up. I told you guys so. I'm pissed at you guys. Just my whole mentality was, I hate this a lot now, and although I hate it, I hate looking bad worse. So I'm gonna still come out here and run, but I'm angry, and it was kind of like a fuel. And so I that year I was SEC champion. I was regional champion. I was NCAA runner-up, and or did I get third at NCAAs, second or third at NCAAs? And that was running the 400 for the first time. I had never ran the 400 as an individual in the individual aspect full time like that before. And so having those accomplishments and being a first, like people like, where did she come from?
Where did she come from?
The 400? She runs a 200, right? Where did she come from? And I made the world team that year for Team USA, went to Paris, made it to the semifinals. I wasn't quite ready to run at the time because I wasn't really training for that. So I ran out of steam, came back with a world championship gold medal for the relay. And then when I got back home, it was like, she's got to go pro. I'm like, what? There's a pro for this thing? This has a pro? What is this? This is track and field pro? I don't get it. And they were like, yeah, all you got to do is win the NCAAs. And specifically, they said, if you beat Sonia Richards-Ross, things will change for you. And I'm not trying to be funny. I know people think sometimes people think I'm taking a shot at her. I'm not. I literally was just so ignorant to the sport that when they said I had to beat her, I literally said, who is that?
Wow.
And they were like, the girl you just ran against at NCAAs. And I was like, the girl that won? And they were like, yeah. And then you just left world championships with her. You guys were just on. I was like, oh, I literally was.
You were in your own bubble.
I was in a bubble of just craziness, and I was mad. I just couldn't. Track and was just not. I just couldn't absorb it. And so my breakthrough into the sport literally came out of just sheer performance. Wow. I would run, I would win, I would progress to the next level. So that year they put that goal on the table. They said, you win the NCAAs. In my junior year, they said, you win the NCAAs, you beat Sonia Richards-Ross, that's all you got to do. You're in.
So let's talk about actually, no, that helps though. Let's talk about actually having a goal in front of you writing your goal down, visualizing your goal, and making it happen. Because if you don't have a goal in front of you, what are you doing? So let's talk about that.
Absolutely. I honestly, I have a quote that says, if you don't have something you're aiming for, you're really just not, what's the target? You know, how do you know where you're going if you don't have a target? Mm-hmm. So when I think about goals, for me, they are the foundation of getting to where you want to be. I personally function better when there's something at stake and when there's something that I can see, stay in touch. So these things kind of, I would say it makes it real. So, the first thing is you have to be able to get it out of your head. So whatever the goal is, write it down. And when you write it down, it becomes real. You can hold it, you can see it, you can touch it. So then you put it somewhere you have to see it every day, constantly reminding yourself of what you want to do. And then you say it. The more you say it, the more you believe it. The more you believe it, the closer you'll be able to achieve it. So that became my way of life, my mentality. And when that goal was put on the table, it was simple for me. It said, do these two things. Win the NCAAs, beat this individual.
Right.
And this is going to take you to a level that maybe you hadn't even thought of. I said, okay, I didn't really care about the level thing so much as what else do I have to do? I have to run, so I have to keep my scholarship. So if I have to do these two things and it could get me to the next level, great.
Right.
So it was very simple for me, clear cut. I put those two goals into action and I took them down one at a time and actually at the same time. So I won the NCAA title. And I broke the University of Texas track record while doing it. And I beat Sonia Richards-Ross all at the same time. So that year, people were like, who is this crazy lady? Where does she come from? And she's a maniac, because the way that race was run, I was about 50 meters out of it before the 300 mark.
Wow. So let me ask you this.
Yeah, crazy.
Whenever you guys get to that level and become pro, and then you start training at an Olympic level, they have a team of like sports psychologists that work with you?
Yeah, even before the Olympic level, I think most universities, and I would think especially nowadays, have sports psychologists. Okay. We had them at Tennessee. We had one specific at Tennessee. There may have been another for the other teams, but I know for sure track and field had sports psych, and I believe that one was shared amongst the other teams. Okay. But for sure now, with all of the focus on mental health and things like that, I can't imagine that universities are not required, if minimal, to have at least one sports psychologist on staff. Okay. I find them to be very helpful because a lot of times you're trying to manage a variety of things. When you get to the collegiate level, you're trying to manage friendships. You're trying to manage social life. You're trying to manage education, grades, classes, schedules, practice time, responsibilities of practice time, of the responsibilities that come in between practice, eating, sleeping, weight room, having three different coaches. Yeah. It's just,
I was a student athlete, and we did not have a sports psychologist, so we just had to figure it out. I'm just telling you.
No, and I do. There's some very truth. There's so much truth in that, because I do think it depends on the university. I think Division I universities are more likely to have that than Division II, and I think Division II schools need them a lot. I think every school needs them. University level schools specifically. But I do notice that as the schools go Division II, Division III, JUCO, all of that, you'll lose some of those, what I think are valuable resources. And so, yeah, I do think that it's important not to overlook that every university is not going to have this for an option. And it should be something that's out there for maybe something that could be at least offered, if not directly from the university, but like what you're doing here, some type of online resource would be great. But yeah, I do think it's super beneficial. It helps to manage a lot of those
stressors,
and you're coming in from all you had was high school, and you had you go into this one building, you're there for, 8 hours, and then you go to practice, like it's simple. It gets way more complicated when you get to college and you have lots more to deal with, more responsibilities, more choices, and it can get to be a lot. And I see that a lot with the college athletes, because after being one, I've been a coach at Tennessee, I've been a volunteer coach at UCF, and I've also been a volunteer coach at USC. And at all those locations, I've, had a opportunity to help develop some of the greatest athletes that have crossed the sport. So I've been blessed that there's been a lot of variety of different types of athletes, from the ones that start out struggling to and turn into greats, and the ones that start out maybe great and struggle.
Right.
And then, so I've seen the variety, and I've helped the variety. So sports
how
psych
do you
is
help
key.
them like manage stress and cope with their stress? Like, what do you say to them?
Depending on the athlete, I think if I had to say what maybe a general verbal assistance I would give, just in general, is you have to start writing things down. One of the things that I think helps get clarity and helps to organize or kind of put things into perspective is just to understand what it is you have to do. And when you see that, you can plan it out a little better. One of my athletes, she had extreme anxiety. I won't say her name because she actually became a pro athlete, and she shocked the world in several ways. I'm super proud of her. But she started out with extreme anxiety, crying and shaking and going into, emotional fits right before performances. And this was, very hindering.
Right.
And she didn't believe in herself after a while. And I just started making her write down some positive things about herself. Just write it down. I had her write, I will run 50 point like 1,000,000 times. She wrote it so many times, and she didn't believe it. And I said, you're only not believing this because you're so caught up in whatever's going on in your life that you can't see your greatness. But I'm seeing it every day. And it's disappointing for me to watch you struggle when I know there's so much greatness in you. So I want you to write this until you believe it. She got a little notebook and she started writing it down over and over and over again for at least a year. Next thing I know, I've left USC at that point. I get a text from her and she says, it's a race. And she ran, I believe she ran 49 or 50 point on the dot. I can't remember. She blew it out. And then she sent me a text with a picture of all the times that she had written, I will run 50 points. It just listed just like, it was like she was in detention or something. And it was like, you had to write, I will be quiet because you
got in trouble.
And she said, you've been telling me, you told me so long ago, and it took me, to write it this time to believe it. But, at the end of the day, I've seen that work so many times. I've seen the correlation between getting the things that you want to accomplish out of your head and putting it into perspective in writing or setting a goal for those things. Even if your goal is just to be more, be more time efficient. They say you're always late or whatever. It doesn't matter what the goal is, whether it's big or small. When you start to identify with it and treat it like it's real and it's not just something you try to accomplish in your brain, it becomes more feasible. The brain is so easily distracted. You can say you want to do something, and then within 3 seconds, that thought is gone.
Right.
You say you want to change, and then change something about yourself, and then 5 seconds later, that thought is gone. But if you write it down, you make it real, and you constantly remind yourself through sight, through writing it, through saying it, through seeing it, it will embed itself, and you have a way better chance of making that come true.
Right. So let's talk about what in your athletic career has been your biggest challenge, and how did you mentally overcome that challenge?
I think my biggest challenge throughout my career was physical health. I was a very proactive athlete when it came to like maintaining physical health. I always, I was often complimented on my due diligence to spend as much time in the training room or with chiropractors or with massage therapists or with, any type of specialist that would help enhance performance naturally or keep you healthy. Mm-hmm. I was always complimented on my efforts that I put into to make that just as important as training. Mm-hmm. And which is why it made it more shocking to have devastating injuries throughout my career at an early age. Because
but you ran for a long time.
Yeah, I did
for a long time. You're saying at an early age, but you had a very long career.
Too long when your stuff is broken. When you all broke up. My knee injury came at I was 2008. Mm-hmm. So that would make me 20. I was 26 or so.
Okay.
So I believe 25 or 26. And that injury almost shut down production. So it took 4 years to come back from that injury. So, in some form or fashion, many would have said my career was over when I was 26, which is kind of early when I had just got started. I went pro I turned 22 in December of 2004, I believe. So after my first Olympic team, making the Olympic finals, NCAA champion, all these great things. And then like 3 years later, your kneecap blows off, it's kind of like, what? Just got started, you hadn't even made another Olympic round before your kneecap blows off. And so, that coming so early in my career made the rest of my career an uphill battle.
Okay.
So while I did go, I did fight for 4 years after the surgery. I did make the 2008 Olympic team with the injury. So from 2004 to 2008, I had 3 good years of what I would consider a normal career. Then in 2008, it was an uphill battle from there. The last few years I squeezed out of my career. The last 3 years after 2012, that was, if it was a downhill battle, uphill.
Downhill, uphill. Well, you finished on top, so that's what's important. Yeah. You finished on top. You went out with a bang, with gold medal, with a bronze medal.
A bronze and a gold, yeah.
So I would say you finished on top and you made it through it. But I just want you to leave people with what they can do if they're an athlete performing at an elite level.
Yeah.
To maintain that uphill and not just fall apart. Not let stress and anxiety just make you fall apart.
Yeah, it's a mental game. So if I had to give, advice to those who are coming into the professional level of sport, even the collegiate level of sport, because now collegiate level is the almost like the rookie of the pro game. Mm-hmm. So just coming into that from the collegiate level off the jump, this track and field and any sport is mental. It's mental. The more mentally tough you are, the more mentally strong you are, the more mentally trained you are. And I say that because it's very important to not neglect training your mental strength, because it is a part of your physical performance.
Right.
And if I learned nothing from my early onset physical injuries, I didn't make it through the next 8 years of that track and field. After 2008, I didn't retire till 2016.
Right.
So I didn't make it another 2 Olympic rounds because of physical abilities. It was mental toughness, which was developed, trained, and perfected over those difficult years that I had to endure. So when I think about the importance of mental toughness, mental perseverance, mental development, that is why 100% of what I do in track and field focuses on mental strength. When I coach the kids, when I'm training my young athletes, everything starts out with mental toughness. I call them mental champs. I prepare them to be mental champions, because you have to be a mental champ in order to really get the most out of your physical capabilities. Mm-hmm. So whatever you think you are great physically, it'll be magnified when your mental toughness cannot just match it, but it can outweigh it. Right. So I 100% preach, teach yourself to be great mentally, believe in yourself, set a goal. That's part of mental toughness, is having a goal. Mm-hmm. And so that's the advice I give. Don't neglect your mental toughness. Practice being a mental champion. Visualize the things you want. See yourself where you want to be. Try to write down the things that you really want to acquire that are important to you. See them, say it, write it down, repeat it, tell somebody. The more you do this kind of stuff, the more, it makes it real. Mm-hmm. I told I don't know how many people, over the last 5 years, I told thousands of people around the world from kindergarten to like 75, I would guess, age 75. I went around the world telling everybody in motivational speaking that I was going to be a professional baker. I said, I'm done. They're like, you don't run track anymore. What are you going to do? I'm going to be a professional chef. Oh, for real? Yeah. Pastry chef, professional pastry chef. For real? Yep. That's crazy. They laugh. They crack up. They be like, that's so far from track and field. That's so crazy. You got to do it. I'm like, I'm going to do it. Watch. Right. Told so many people. And I tell that story because when you tell people what you're going to do, you feel a little bit of pressure to actually do it. You can't tell that many people that you're going to do something and then don't do it. Right. It makes you feel accountable. Accountability is pressure. Pressure is power. So I told everybody that, and come December 2021, I just graduated from the Art Institute of Atlanta, and I am now officially DeeDee Trotter, pastry chef.
Congratulations! That's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a guest on our
You're
show.
welcome.
And I hope everyone learned a lot. So tell somebody, hold yourself accountable, and be mentally tough.
You got it. Mental champs.